We know that there's a global need for tissue-based products, and that remains, and we will continue to grow geographically. We have ongoing discussions with a number of other global distribution partners, and we'll continue to add these as we identify good partners.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Tissue Regenix Group CEO Danny Lee, as well as Chief Financial Officer David Koch. Danny, David, welcome back to Proactive. And David, you're up with results today, so I'm going to start with you. You've had another successful 6 months. Could you give us some of the highlights of the period, please?
Sure. Thanks, Stephen. Excited to talk to you today about our first half results. Our revenues for the period were up 16% to $16.4 million. This is the 8th consecutive reporting period of growth for the group coming out of the pandemic. Moving down the P&L, our gross profit for the period was up to 53% from 49% in the prior period, driven by processing efficiencies and a favorable product mix. Our adjusted EBITDA more than doubled to $1.1 million from $0.4 million last year. In fact, we had more EBITDA in the first half this year than all of last year. We're also pleased to report, for the first time in the history of the group, our first pre-tax profit of $0.1 million, as compared to a $0.9 million in the first half in the first half of last year. And our cash position of $3.5 million supports our current business growth plan.
David, what were the main drivers of your growth during this period?
Sure. Our BioRin segment was up 12%, driven by our core demineralized bone matrix products, which grew 26% in the period. Our D-Cell segment had robust growth of 34% in the period, as we continue to see the benefits from our commercial reorganization that we put in place in 2022. We added 24 new distributors in the period, which helped drive this growth. And finally, our German joint venture, GBMV, returned to growth in the period, up 6%.
Danny, you mentioned in the RNS announcements about the 4S strategy and your growth pillars. Can you tell us more about this, please?
Sure, absolutely. Since 2021, our 4S strategy continues to drive the organization. The 4S's being supply, sales revenue, sustainability, and scale. These are goals and objectives for the organization and have really provided the foundation for our growth. In 2023, we augmented the 4S's with our 4 growth pillars, which build on the 4S as the foundation. The growth pillars are more tactical activities that drive our growth, and our success will come from successful execution. One of the growth pillars is our base business. We're going to continue to grow our existing business with our existing as well as new partners in orthopedics, sports medicine, spine, dental, urogynecology. Our musculoskeletal and dermis business products performed quite well during the first half of 2024. Another growth pillar is our tissue partnerships, which enable our growth due to our focus on donor supply for our own processing needs. But we also have the opportunity to provide tissue to other tissue processors. But we've seen some delays in regulatory approvals for opportunities to distribute this unprocessed tissue globally. Another growth pillar is regulatory evolution. We have made the decision with our U.S. division to become a device company and develop the opportunity to make devices so we can enter into additional markets as well as explore new products. Many markets treat tissue products as devices versus as tissue products. So we've made the strategic decision and commitment to be a device company to drive our growth in the future. And the last growth pillar is market expansion. We're expanding the use of tissue into additional medical specialties and in additional global markets beyond those we currently serve. We have started to expand beyond the specialties we currently serve, and in H1 2024, our young European Union distribution effort has exceeded expectations.
Danny, you initiated sales for OrthoPure XT in Switzerland with your partner Geistlich Pharma. Do you have any further geographic expansion plans?
Yes, absolutely. Our relationship with Geistlich Pharma continues to grow. OrthoPure XT, for some of your viewers, is the only non-human tissue device for certain anterior cruciate ligament procedures. We initiated our partnership initially in Italy with Geistlich, and due to the success, there was a desire to add Switzerland. Geistlich has an established commercial team in their home market of Switzerland, and they were motivated to take on this innovative product. In fact, in May, Geistlich sponsored a lunch symposium at the ESCA meeting. The ESCA meeting is the European Society for Sports Traumatology, Knee Surgery, and Arthroscopy. This is one of the most highly attended knee surgery meetings in Europe. And the lunch symposium featured the OrthoPure XT and the early clinical experiences by Professor Stefano Zaffagnini of the Rizzoli Institute, which is Europe's oldest and most prominent orthopedic hospital. We previously announced our plans to expand geographically in Australia and in China, but the length of time to get through regulatory channels has lengthened considerably. We know that there's a global need for tissue-based products, and that remains, and we will continue to grow geographically. We have ongoing discussions with a number of other global distribution partners, and we'll continue to add these as we identify good partners.
And Danny, what can investors look out for over the next 6 months?
Well, over the next 6 months, Tissue Regenix will remain focused on our 4S strategy, the foundation of the 4S's, and in particular, growth in sales revenue, sustainability, as well as scale. The growth pillars, our base business, the tissue partnerships, the market expansion, the regulatory evolution, again, are built on the 4S foundation and give us that enhanced tactical focus. Our base business in MS and dermis, musculoskeletal tissue and dermis, will continue to be the primary drivers of revenue in the second half of 2024. We think we will continue to experience some headwinds with our amnion products in wound care. So we really have shifted our resources to products as well as markets that are more in demand. Our diversity in numerous surgical markets, which helped us navigate through the pandemic, and our flexibility in adjusting to market demands have given us the opportunity to drive our growth as well as navigate these headwinds. Whether these headwinds could be due to regulatory delays or reimbursement challenges. We will continue to position ourselves for both near-term as well as long-term growth. We began distribution in the Europe, Middle East, and Africa region for our allograft tissue, and will continue to add new global outlets for our human and xenograft tissue products. In the first half of 2024, we purchased the building where we have planned which we've planned as well as discuss our phase 1 and phase 2 expansions for allograft tissue. We've already discussed our plans to become a medical device company, which many allograft tissue processors of our scale do not have those plans or those capabilities. So we believe, in summary, that H2, our investors can look forward to us continuing to deliver above market growth.
Well, Danny, David, I hope you'll keep us posted on any progress. Thank you very much for speaking with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's Tissue Regenix CEO Danny Lee, as well as Chief Financial Officer David Koch.